And hello, movie lovers, and welcome to the show. For today's podcast episode, I have my good friend.
Charlie, hello.
And today we are actually doing TV shows that changed the world, part two. Charlie was going to go on ahead and join me for part one, but with certain circumstances with his internet and everything, we weren't able to do this. So we made a part two because we had such a good time doing it the first time. And of course, we just have so much more to actually say about this topic and everything when we look at TV shows. For instance, with The Sopranos and things like that, I'm just doing a little small recap in case you guys didn't get a chance to see it. The Sopranos was one of the very first HBO series, and also too included with Sex and the City. Sex and the City was also another one of those shows that actually changed the way that we look at television because of the fact that you had this New York kind of atmosphere falling around these women. And of course, it's centered around Sarah Jessica Parker as well. But for TV, we haven't seen New York the way that it's viewed on the HBO. We've seen New York before, like new NYPD Blue in the 90s, stuff like that. But a cinematic view of what New York is on a TV show atmosphere, telling through the lenses of HBO, was just something that was different, something that was fresh in their prime when you look at TV shows. Another thing, too, is Oz, Under the Wire, 6 Feet Under. Those were also the oldies of the HBO. Those were the OGs of HBO atmosphere, of what it looked like on a cinematic scale when you look at TV and the way that we view it on a cinematic type of screen. Because we're used to seeing that kind of cinematic story being told on a big screen, at the movie theaters. But we're not used to seeing it on a smaller screen. But HBO knows what they're doing. They knew what they were getting into. Well, they didn't actually know what they were getting into when they did The Sopranos. And also, too, with Sarah Jessica Parker's show, Sex and the City, they didn't realize how big it was actually going to be until they actually blew up on those shows. And then next thing you know they started skyrocketing with all the original content with HBO. HBO is just a juggernaut when you look at what we have today. We have Game of Thrones, like we mentioned before. We have True Blood. We have all kinds of shows that shaped and molded this. Even Deadwood is also an oldie as well. If you're looking for a Western type of atmosphere and stuff like that, Deadwood is also another one that was part of the oldies of that OG atmosphere that I mentioned with The Sopranos, Sex and the City, 6 Feet Under, Oz, stuff like that. So what do you think, though, man? I mean, I know that you're used to a cinematic universe looking on the big screen, but when you look at it from a smaller screen scale, what did you think about that?
Oh, absolutely. HBO definitely changed the game for TV. I mean, The Sopranos was the one that was the first big show to actually get people to get subscribers. They're the ones that, like, we need subscribers, and The Sopranos did that. The Sopranos made you interested. I mean, they actually came out with a show and I think and then, like you mentioned, True Blood. True Blood's got that cult following and stuff. So that one kind of helped HBO. And of course, Game of Thrones. I mean, we don't have to talk about the last season, but I mean, but it definitely changed the game in terms of getting people to hop on to actually want to watch something. Viewers. I mean, but HBO was the OGs when it comes to that. To Oz, 6 Feet Under, Deadwood, which has the immortal Ian McShane. I mean, that guy never ate. Like, that guy's like always in it, and he always plays the same type of character. I mean, but yeah, they changed the game when it definitely for TV.
Most definitely. It definitely changed it and molded into what HBO is today. And also, too, this is what made us watch every single Sunday. We would get Chinese food. This is what Alec Baldwin said on the Sopranos podcast, Talking Sopranos podcast, was this. Every Sunday, they had a ritual. They would watch the hit HBO show, The Sopranos, and order Chinese food. Every single Sunday, sitting right in front of the TV set, watching their favorite shows and everything. You even had, for crying out loud, even like I mentioned before with Sex and the City, you actually had women, females, gathered around after The Sopranos or before The Sopranos. I couldn't remember which one aired first, but that was their ritual. They would go on ahead, order whatever they want to, get some wine, watch Sarah Jessica Parker and the girls have their girls' night out, or whatever night that they're doing, or whatever conversations that they're having.
Mm-hmm.
And also became something that was actually relatable to women as well during that time, which is something they also did. They also respected women as far as TV goes with the HBO stuff, because they knew exactly what they were doing.
Then HBO also had that show Girls too. So that was the like with Lena Dunham and all that stuff. So I mean, but yeah, HBO like is one of those few networks, like premium cable networks, that actually produce content that actually you definitely need to get involved with it. I mean, right now there's Mayor of Eastwood or whatever with I think it's Naomi Watts.
It's Naomi Watts, I believe.
Yeah. So you have that show now, and that's got people trending. So
even A Night Of, and then Vinyl now and everything too. They have a couple of limited shows, and then they also had that Stephen King show as well for their thing for The Outsider. But another thing though too is back whenever cable was a big thing. I remember this like yesterday. It was like, the biggest thing was for teenagers. Do you have cable? No. Then what are you doing? You need cable. And we would actually try and find something that we can gravitate towards to actually have cable. HBO was actually in the market to try and get subscribers. They were the very first big company to say, hey, look, we have this idea for a show. Let's give it a shot and see what happens.
Yeah.
Because at that time, they were just streaming movies, basically, back in the days, where they would just stream it onto a TV screen, and that was it.
Yeah.
They went from that to what they have now.
I mean, the other show I got to mention that's actually picked up, that's actually, I'm enjoying it now, Westworld. It, like I said, it started out a little slow for me, but the third season, that one that just aired, I think last year, oh my God, that show is awesome. Like, I mean, if you guys are looking for something to binge, there's already 3 seasons out. It's the first party is kind of the westerny part, and then it's definitely turned in different genres, but it's written by, I think, one of Nolan's brothers. But Westworld, like I said, the more like after watching season 3, I'm like, I kind of want to go back and watch the other seasons again just to get a better picture. It's very convoluted, so it's very complex to talk about what's going on in it in like the first 2 seasons. But the more you watch it, the more you're able to understand. It's definitely got that Nolan-esque, like, convoluted stuff. But Westworld, it's another great show by HBO. Like I said, I just had to throw that one out there because I'm a huge fan of that show.
Right. That, to be honest with you, I never got a chance to watch it all the way through. I saw maybe 3 episodes. I wasn't quite getting it or understanding it. It's just one of those shows that you have to pay very close attention to.
Oh yeah.
So I think that I'm going to go back and try and revisit that one soon.
Okay.
But the show that actually stands out to me for right now is True Blood. Like you said, it had a huge following. This is also during the vampire craze back in 2008 and everything too. This is also too a year after, of course, Twilight. But this is more of your manly vampires. This is more of vampires being known to the public for the very first time. It's based off of Charlene Harris's books, and I've read those books though too. They're actually pretty decent books, but this is more of your manly vampires that are more horrifying vampires compared to Twilight and everything too. True Blood was just one of those shows that was totally different, totally original as well, and also too. We're not even going to cover like the other seasons and everything else. Once the showrunner, the creator of that show left, it started tanking. But everything before that was just excellent. Spot on acting. You have Lafayette in there, who's actually a gay cook, and he was also black. And there's also a lot of racial issues going on within that universe, though, too. They covered it all in that universe. And everything too, because now you actually have racist people against vampires that don't like vampires. You have other type of dealings within this universe that you never would actually thought. You have fairies, you have shapeshifters, you have different types of mystical beings that you never would have thought would be into one universe. So this TV series is very diverse, something that is very smart and ahead of its time during 2008. But it was during the vampire craze and everything else. If it wasn't for True Blood, we wouldn't have. Of course, Vampire Diaries and stuff like that. The CW network picked that up and everything. I had people say, "Oh, you need to try out Vampire Diaries." I'm like, no, thank you. I want my rated X TV show, True Blood. That's the one that I want. I don't want Vampire Diaries. But
You want
show is
vampire
very
sex. Pretty much. You want vampire sex. Because I mean that's all because a lot of the HBO shows, there's gotta be sex in shows. And that seems to be the trend because it's premium network. You know what? We can do whatever we want. We can do whatever we want. Yeah. So well, since you mentioned CW, one show from the CW that I liked that was not vampires and was not The Flash, Nikita. On CW. I have the DVD. Once I saw the trailer for the show, I was like, I was hooked. Like the first trailer, and Maggie Q was fantastic as Nikita. This show is awesome. Let me get to my DVD for it. If you guys have not seen this show, I know it was on Netflix for a while. I think they took it off, but okay, it's not here. But anyway, it stars Maggie Q. She plays Nikita. So this is like because you had the Let Them Nikita show that was on early in the 90s and stuff. I think this takes place after this kind of ends in a little bit. So essentially, Nikita, she gets out of the group called Division, and so she's trying to, and then so she's starting a war on Division because they killed her fiance. So she's starting a war, and so she has a partner on the inside, but and it also has got Shane West in it, the guy from A Walk to Remember. And if you guys are wondering why I keep mentioning Nikita, Division, now you know why. The action sequences in this show, awesome, so good. Her partner, her partner Alex is played by Lindsay Francesco. Like I can't pronounce her last name, but she was briefly in the Kick-Ass movies. She hasn't been in much. However, she plays. She's great as the partner in this. But again, the fight sequences are awesome. Action's great. I mean, there's so many. I think Xander Berkeley. He plays Percy. I believe they did 4 seasons. Yeah, like the 4th season was kind of a minor one. But if you want, I can find out real quick. See, if you want a good action show, I think one of the episodes in season 1, Nikita's taking out the entire trainees. Like she's trapped in Division, and she beats up every single recruit. Like not nonchalant, just has her way with them, and it's actually really funny. Let me see. Watch because it definitely was on Netflix for a while.
Yeah, I remember it being on Netflix. To be honest,
I mean, if it ever gets back on Netflix, watch it. The action sequences are just awesome in it. Like Maggie Q, fantastic as Nikita. This was like one of my favorite shows on CW, and I think I got my sister hooked on the show too. But there's like every episode has great action sequences. There's a lot of shootouts, fight sequences, just explosions. Like it was a great show on CW before they kind of went off the rails a little bit. Like, I mean, Arrow was great, then it kind of went off. Flash was great until Iris says, you're not the Flash, we are the Flash. Done.
Me too.
Yeah.
That's whenever I closed out too, if you don't remember. I actually closed out at the same time.
Yeah, anyway, or it's probably on that CWC that I think it's like but if you guys haven't seen that show, check it out. It's a great show. But moving on, what else would you want to talk about, John?
Okay, so there's actually another gangster show that came on HBO as well. And if it wasn't for The Sopranos, and if it wasn't for Steve Buscemi directing a couple of episodes of The Sopranos and everything, as well as acting in Sopranos season 5, playing Tony's cousin, Tony B, I don't think Steve Buscemi would have gotten into this gangster role as for Nucky Thompson, who is on Boardwalk Empire, a character on Boardwalk Empire that Steve Buscemi plays. And this show takes place during Prohibition and everything, during the time of the alcohol and stuff like that is being illegal to run. He actually owns bootlegging fronts and stuff like that. He's also running for governor, I believe. He's very corrupt. And also, too, this is actually I went through the timeline. If you're a huge history buff, I recommend you guys check this out because I actually did the timeline for Nucky and everything. Even though he's a fictional character on the show, it's all connected very well with the history during in Atlantic City and all that stuff. And it's connected out really well. It made me speculate on the outcome of Nucky and everything. I went through the whole entire Prohibition stuff. But if you're into gangster shows, Boardwalk Empire is going to be your show.
Mm-hmm.
And not to mention, this was on HBO as well during this time too. But it was also one of the shows that aired a couple of years after The Sopranos, after everybody kind of faded away from the whole entire gangster element a little bit whenever you looked at gangster TV shows.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, I know where Boardwalk Empire comes on. And that show was just so good at the storytelling, and not only that, but the set pieces were very good, very theatrical. Like this show, I cannot praise it enough. Don't get me wrong, every season has a rough season and stuff like that, even during the season finale. But it also has Al Capone in it. It also has a very young Al Capone character in it, played by Stephen Green. Stephen Green does an awesome job at playing a gangster. He's also played on The Irishman as well. And this, go ahead, check out Boardwalk Empire. I think you guys will love that show just as much as I do.
Nice. Another show that's not on HBO. I think it was on Cinemax for a while. This is a show that I got hooked on. I think I got it not on Cinemax. It was like some other network had a free preview of it. I watched the first few. All right, this is another show I don't think you can find streaming. It's called Strike Back.
I never heard of that one.
Oh man, this show is awesome. So there's various seasons of it. Like the season I picked up on, I think they had a show called Chris Ryan Strike Back, which had one of the guys from The Hobbit. I think the one that played Odin Thorkenstein. I can't remember his name. But anyway, he was the main guy in it. And I think Andrew Lincoln was I think this is a British. It's like a British TV. So I think it was like on Sky TV and stuff.
Or BBC or.
I mean, I think it was Sky. It wasn't BBC because this is definitely like full on no BBC. Like this is great. This is
okay.
Yeah. So anyway, the show when I picked it up, I think this one was called I can look it up. So anyway, the show I picked up, so it was 2 episodes. The show stars Sullivan Stapleton. He played in the second 300 movie. He was the main leader of that. I think Thermopylae. I believe that was who he played, and he's been in a lot of stuff. I think he was recently on that NBC show Blind Spot. Great show, horrible ending. But anyway, and then Philip Winchester is the other guy in it, and these two guys, they create chemistry. Like the two of them are like constantly butting heads with each other. Like they're riffing on each other in the middle of a gunfight. Like they're saying "fuck you" to each other, flipping each other off. This show is essentially it's a spy action adventure spy drama series. It's based off a novel. It's based on former Special Air Service Chris Ryan. So the first show was called I believe it was called Project Dawn, and that's when I picked it up on it. Yeah, so Project Dawn. So essentially, Philip Winchester plays Michael Stonebridge. It's essentially British intelligence, like Section 20. And they have to find one of their own, but it turns out so each season has got one bad person, and the whole build up is to build up to the confrontation with that guy. And the action sequences in this show, like when I said Nikita was great, 10 times better. Like this is like you have shootouts like crazy. There's not much hand-to-hand combat. It's more shootout because again, this is British military intelligence. The action is great. It's definitely it's just awesome. Like the bromance between the two guys, like you instantly love the bromance between these two guys. You can, if you have Cinemax, you might be able to binge all of them. Like I said, after I think they did 4 seasons with these two guys, and then yeah, it was 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I think it was about 4. Yeah, 3 or 4. Once they left, then then the show didn't get great. But Strike Back is definitely, it's violent, great action, and pretty much the Sullivan Stapleton character, he's getting laid every single time I see him. Like almost every single time. And like I said, this is the one I watched like 2 episodes, and then I was sold on the show. So I bought every season of it with these 2 guys. I mean, you love those guys so much that you want them to be able to kick ass and flip each other off in the middle of a gunfight. Like, I mean, they're just riffing on each other, but they got this chemistry bromance, very like Bad Boys style. Like, I think in this season has this epic action sequence where these 2 guys, Scott and Stonebridge, they're getting attacked by an entire army, and they're taking out the army. Like, it is awesome. Like, so if you guys have Showtime, or you can find it on demand or whatever, find the show and check it out. Or if you like the first 2 episodes, buy it. Like, I'm pretty sure you can buy this online somewhere. I highly, highly recommend this show. Like, I mean, I've not been such a binge show. Like, I've not been this fan of a show in a long time. This show is awesome. If you love military action kind of shows, this is it. We just like 2 guys, like, you know, like being badasses, and it has a lot of great people showed up in it. Michelle Yeoh showed up in this. Charles Dance has showed up in this. Durgery Scott, Rona Mitcha. Not to confuse the one that was in the Pitch Black. This is a different one. I think she was in the movie Doomsday. She was also in Shooter, Mark Wahlberg show. Movie was great. Show sucked. I know. I watched the show. It's not great. But anyway, if you got time, find a way to watch Strike Back. I didn't watch the Andrew Lincoln one. I watched this one because it picks up right when that one leaves off. But great action show if you want something that's it's Cinemax. So yeah. My friend Tim would probably recommend Banshee. I've seen that show as well, and I think all those episodes are on HBO Max as well.
Okay. So let's see here. The next thing I want to talk about is a couple of things on. Well, first, I'm not going to go with Netflix yet. I want to go with BBC for a minute.
Okay.
And it's Benedict Cumberbatch's show of Sherlock.
Oh, okay.
For Sherlock Holmes. And here's the thing. I've never been big into Sherlock Holmes or anything like that. I think it's just because of the fact that I don't know. It's just something about Sherlock Holmes, like the old style of the way that it's being told is just something that isn't for me. But the way they do it with the BBC show and make it more modernized with it just works for me. And Benedict Cumberbatch as Sherlock Holmes is great. And then, of course, you know, you also have the guy who plays on The Hobbit as well in that show too, who also plays John Watson.
Martin Freeman, I think.
Yeah, Martin Freeman. Thank you.
Yeah.
And, you know, those two together, the way they collaborate and stuff is just fantastic. The chemistry with them is just awesome. I love Sherlock Holmes and everything, especially too, like I said, it's more modernized. You have cell phones, you have stuff like that. But I love the quickness when it comes to Benedict Cumberbatch, the way he's analyzing stuff. Don't get me wrong, I love RDJ and what he did with the character, but the quick comebacks, the quickness of the way that he actually is able to bring someone down to a different level whenever he's insulting them, it's just funny. It's fantastic. It reminds me of Doctor Strange insulting someone in the operating room in Doctor Strange Part 1 with their music taste.
Mm-hmm.
And everything. It is one of those shows that is just fantastic. And also, too, there's even one of the episodes that stands out to me is when Benedict Cumberbatch is actually trying to quit smoking.
Mm-hmm.
And get this, I actually knew someone. We were watching this show, and get this, the person's mother was actually trying to quit smoking too on the same day that we were watching that episode.
Wow.
Yeah, so we were watching the same things that Sherlock was going through with trying to quit smoking, and we called the person's mother. Okay, Sherlock, stop and just calm down, take a deep breath. just, but this show is good. It's original. Not only that, but if you're looking for a more modernized version of Sherlock Holmes, this is actually the perfect show for you, to be honest with you. If you're looking for a more modernized type of version of Sherlock Holmes. And like I said, with Morton Freeman and everything being in it as John Watson, he just sells it for me as John Watson, especially whenever him and Sherlock go on this whole entire adventure together and stuff like that, and the smack talking with one another. It's just great. So if you're looking for it, go on and check that out. And matter of fact, it's on Netflix that you can actually binge that.
Oh, nice.
But the funny thing is, you know how our shows are maybe like an hour long?
Yeah.
Their shows are a lot longer than an hour.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. And I'm like, wait a second. I thought I was watching a show, not a movie.
Mm-hmm.
This thing clocks in maybe close to maybe almost 2 hours, which gives you about 3 episodes a season, I believe. So it's actually a pretty good show. Nice. So what do you have?
So I kind of want to get into NBC a little bit because I think NBC had a lot of great stuff. So first, I'm going to mention my favorite show of all time, Chuck. Chuck was a show that I binged. But the other reason why it changed TV is after season 2, they were on the brink of getting canceled. Then they got Subway involved. They had a Subway campaign because there's like a lot of the people eat Subways in the show. They had a campaign and people were like, this has got a cult following. So, I remember watching I think they had a lot of product placements. Let me read up on it. So I think it was a campaign called Save Chuck. So this was the 2009 campaign to save Chuck from cancellation in season 2 for 3rd season. So this was in the campaign. So fansite chuck.tv.net launched the first fan effort, the Watch Buy Share campaign on March 18th, a letter writing campaign that so there's and then they had a big thing for Subway. So they raised a ton of money for it. So I think one fan was inspired by product placement in the 2nd season to purchase foot-long sub sandwiches from Subway on the air day of the season finale. They say the movement gained support from various cast and crew members, with Zach Levi seen leading hundreds of fans to a Subway restaurant in Birmingham, England. Members of the show's cast participated in a special rally cry episode of Chuck vs. the Podcast just before the finale. So there was this campaign with Subway. This changed it, and the show got renewed, and it ended up getting season 3, 4, and 5. So the fans' reaction to the show, and I was one of them. I love the show. The show is great, and it even brought I thought it was the perfect casting for Chuck's mom, one of the greatest badass female characters, Sarah Connor. Linda Hamilton was Chuck's mom in the show. And she showed up in I believe season 4. I mean, this show had so many guest stars from Chevy Chase. Dolph Lundgren was on the show. Bo Derek, a bunch of other people had guest starred on this show. This show is it's great. Got a lot of comedy. It's very you feel for Chuck every single time. He was great in it. Sarah Walker, the actress Ivana Stradamovsky, I can't pronounce her last name. Sorry. She's great as Sarah. You one of the Adam Baldwin. He always plays the tough brute, very little words kind of a guy. He was great in this. I mean, this show is great. It's a great. If you want great action sequences, it's got it. Got comedy. It's got heart. I hated how they ended this show. This is another ones, and I'm really hoping that they do kind of what they're doing with Dexter, a revival in a sense to fix that ending. But the show is great. I wanted to mention that because the Subway campaign. Another NBC show, of course, Law and Order. I mean, Law and Order really changed the game for NBC. I mean, look how many spinoffs we're getting because of Law and Order. We got so many spinoffs with it. I mean, You have Law and Order SVU. You have the spinoff with Christopher Milani's character. And then I think this is the one that kind of brought the Chicago PD, the Chicago themed thing for whatever I think is a Law and Order. I haven't seen the show. I don't want to, but I gotta respect it for being on this long and to change how people watch crime shows.
Okay, so let's see here. I'm gonna stray away from dramas a little bit.
Okay.
I want to go into sitcoms a little bit right now.
Okay. I do have
just for me.
Okay. I'll mention one more drama once we get done your
No.
comedies.
Go on ahead, mention your drama real quick.
Okay. Well, I know they had The West Wing, and that changed the camera angles about how they shoot something, about one continuous shot. I want to mess with, but I think the biggest one for me, and I remember this show was great. ER on NBC. That was that was before your Grey's Anatomy. All right, don't say, hey, Grey's Anatomy was first. No, ER was first, and ER changed it. And that, so if it wasn't for ER or CBS's Chicago Hope, we wouldn't be getting Grey's Anatomy. And yeah, ER just for I've seen a lot of the shows, and I like a lot of, and then just I gotta respect it for Michael Crichton. Michael Crichton knows how to write some stuff. I think he was an executive producer for ER. This show, like this thing, how they filmed it is incredible. Like, and then I think I watched the one about the retrospect right before they finished it, about they were interviewing the castmates and all that stuff about it, about talking about they had to learn all this terminology of all these like medical terminologies that they had to name and recite and do it live. And like, I mean, it's just incredible. Like, I mean, this show it kind of started people's careers. I think this helped George Clooney. This definitely helped George Clooney. I mean, George Clooney, when you see him, he's so young when he did this show. George Clooney was great in this show. You had Noah Wiley. I know you had Juliana Margulies. I can't pronounce the name, from The Good Wife. You had Eric LaSalle. You've had like the Maria Bello was on this. Lena Cardellini. John Stamos was on this show. Like, I mean, I can go on, but this was a part of the Monday, like the must-see TV lineup on NBC, and they had a hit with that. You had that. You had Friends. I think Fraser was on that, and you had Seinfeld, I think, in that. Yeah. This Chef ER, and then again the sequences when they when all the ambulances show up and they have the continuous shots of it. I mean, I'm a sucker for some good camera angles, and those continuous shots. I've always been a fan of doing something in one continuous shot and the continuous flawless movement. I mean, this show definitely did it, and it like I got to give credit for 15 seasons. That's 15 seasons is how long ER went on, and yeah. I got to give it a shout out because I remember watching this show. I mean, I didn't see all the episodes, but I'm very familiar with Anthony Edwards was on this show, and he was great in it as Dr. Green. Like, I mean, there's just so much, like, there's so much I got to give praise to this show. If you have not seen the show, I think might be on Hulu. I would try to watch some of the shows, like watch some of the episodes. It's definitely some of the content is kind of brutal because some of the injuries these people are suffering are pretty brutal. But you just care for the doctors, and then they're going for problems too. Like there's a gunman involved. I mean, there's anything you can think of has been happening on this show. Like, I mean, but yeah, I just had to give a shout out to ER because I remember this definitely changed it in terms of the camera angles of how the continuous shots and all that stuff. But yeah, ER was a fantastic show.
All right. Yeah. I remember ER back whenever it first aired. I didn't watch any episodes, but I do remember the gunman one, which, you know, if it wasn't for ER, Grey's Anatomy wouldn't have been around. The Good Doctor wouldn't be around.
No.
None of these doctor atmospheric type of shows would not have been around.
No.
It wasn't for ER. And it's also very impressive that it lasted 15 seasons because today, if you think about it, it's very rare that you see a new TV show, being taken on for more than one season. Because look, we see TV series get canceled like crazy, where
Oh yeah,
they barely even make it to the first or second season. Matter of fact, during mid-season break, they probably wind up canceling the season before it even gets started for the second half, and therefore
yeah,
you're wondering what the hell happened. So
yeah.
kudos to them. That's very impressive. So
So it's some more facts. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. This show, as of 2014, has grossed over $3 billion in television revenue for
Damn.
ER.
That's massive.
It is the second longest running primetime medical drama in American TV history, behind Grey's Anatomy. Boo. Sorry, I'm ER all the way. But and then so it won 23 primetime Emmy awards, including the 1996 Outstanding Drama Series Award, 124 Emmy nominations. It won 116 awards in total, including the Peabody Award, while the cast earned 4 Screen Actors Guild Awards for ensemble performance in a drama series. Yeah, this show is no slouch. Like, this show is before Grey's. This was the epitome of medical procedure dramas. Because now you have Chicago PD, Chicago Med. I don't care. Like, sure, I think it was all filmed because, again, if it wasn't for ER, we wouldn't be getting Chicago Med. Because I believe this show was actually filmed in Chicago.
Another thing, though, too, if you think about it, in a sense, we wouldn't have gotten that Dennis Leary drama show if it was for ER either.
Rescue Me on FX.
Yeah, Rescue Me. And those other type of shows, though, that surrounds the emergency outlet as well.
Yeah.
When you look at emergency type of shows. So, with that being said,
right. I mean, I just have to give some shout outs to
No. It's cool. It's cool. Here's the thing. We're gonna get back into the drama stuff in a few. But doing some lightheartedness and stuff like that. Here's the thing. This is what I'm thinking of. If it wasn't for Seinfeld, you wouldn't have Curb Your Enthusiasm. Larry David would not have been who he is now. And everything. And Seinfeld, for me, is one of those shows, either you're going to get it or you're not going to get it. For me. The stand-up stuff at the very beginning with Seinfeld doing his comedy bit, it always connects in with the episode that he's actually foreshadowing the episode that's about to be told. He's like the Alfred Hitchcock, if you think about it, of comedy. Because he's actually foreshadowing what's about to happen to him and his friends in this episode, using the comedy as a bit for the intro. And I love this show. I love Kramer. Kramer was probably one of my favorite characters in it. George Costanza was actually funny though too. He has a couple of funny stuff. Another funny thing that I remembered off of Seinfeld was when George is actually dating an inmate, a prisoner, and everything. And of course, he's having to look behind his shoulder, wondering if she is going to break out of jail or anything like that. And then there's also the other time when Kramer buys a new shower head, and he winds up buying a shower head that's for elephants. And it just blows him away out of the shower to the point where he can't even stand up in the shower. It just blows him all the way into the back of the corner. There's also no soup for you, which is also another funny thing whenever they call the German, which is actually funny. I mean, they have a lot of funny moments in this show. Seinfeld, I cannot give a credit where credit is due. This show lasted a long time, but also too, the season finale sucked. Well, but still, you can't deny that this show was not funny at this time and everything. This was just spot on comedy. You tune in just for an hour and a half of just nonsense.
Yeah. I've seen bits and pieces of it. I haven't really seen the whole series. My dad was a huge Seinfeld fan of it.
Really? Like I said, it's either you're gonna grab it or you're gonna see certain episodes and say, you know what, I'll watch a couple of episodes and I'll be good with my Seinfeld stuff. But either you're gonna get the comedy or you're not gonna get the comedy, or the comedy might be a little too dry for some people as well. But if you're into Seinfeld, or if you're interested in Seinfeld, check it out. I strongly recommend it.
speaking of comedies, this one was like, I love this show. I gotta give a shout out Malcolm in the Middle. I mean, Malcolm in the Middle, great comedy show, like sitcom. I mean, this is probably what happened after Hal. Breaking Bad fans, Hal was in Malcolm in the Middle before he was on Breaking Bad. Bryan Cranston, this this is where he started out with, was Malcolm in the Middle, and this show was hysterical. I mean, I remember the very first episode I watched was the red dress episode. And if you didn't know, if you haven't seen Malcolm in the Middle, try to watch some episodes because it's hilarious. It was when Frankie Muniz was in his prime, like he was just starting out and everybody loved him. So anyway, the red dress episode, I was like, you're wondering why did you just tune in the red Malcolm in the Middle? Well, I was trying to watch the X-Files afterwards, and I'll get in the X-Files next, like in a bit. But anyway, I was watching the red dress, and my dad and I we loved the show. It was hilarious. There's so many iconic episodes from Malcolm in the Middle. Like this is all from like the first couple. Like, and the problem with the show is it had great music in it. Hence why his eye's not available on DVD. The only first season is because the music erased. So back in the time, the 90s was big in the music. You had this show, and you have another one of my favorite all-time shows, Daria. Daria's music was top notch. Problem was, why wasn't it released on DVD? Oh yeah, they didn't officially get the rights to play the music in the show. Hence why it takes so long for it to get on DVD, because they didn't have that. So in Daria, when it came out on DVD, and I have it, you can definitely tell a difference because, all right, 99% of that music is gone. Malcolm in the Middle, there's only one season been released on DVD. No other seasons have been released on DVD. I think it's because I personally think it's the music. But this show is hysterical. Like Lois being the over-controlling mom. I mean, this show, if you can get joked on by Family Guy, of Lois, like in the scene of Family Guy, Lois is screaming at the kids, and you see the kids just all that, and you see Hal pull out part of the freezer door and smacks Lois in the face with it, and she's like knocked out, and Hal's like, kids, we're free, we're finally free. So, but yeah, Bryan Cranston was hilarious as the husband in the show, as the dad Hal. And Malcolm in the Middle. I mean, and this is before he did Breaking Bad, before he won awards for Breaking Bad. He started out with Malcolm in the Middle, and he's hysterical on that. That was when it was on Fox, when Fox was in their good phase.
Right. So let's see here. I'm gonna go with a couple of other two other sitcoms, and everything too. One of the sitcoms I'm gonna talk about is The Big Bang Theory. Here's the thing. I love the first couple of seasons of The Big Bang Theory, but when you get into the other seasons and stuff like that, the jokes become repetitive to the point where I wasn't laughing anymore. And it also got to the point where I'm like, you know what? I'm good. I don't need to see any more Big Bang Theory. But the reason why I love The Big Bang Theory so much is because you have these group of guys who are just dorky, geeky, love comic books, love geeky, nerdy stuff. And before The Big Bang Theory, it was actually frowned upon to be a geek, frowned upon to be a nerd, frowned upon to even like Magic the Gathering cards, or frowned upon of liking geek culture or anything related to comics. And that's back when you have Urkel, Family Matters, anything that was gravitated towards the whole geeky side of things as far as sitcom goes was frowned upon during that time because of the fact that it was bad for you to be a nerd. Now it gave everybody a chance to be embraced and saying it's okay to like nerdy things. It's okay to go ahead and be who you are and stuff like that. And that's why I like The Big Bang Theory, because it embraces the geek and nerd culture to be able to welcome people with open arms and be able to laugh for at least 30 minutes with these guys who are very smart but have very little common sense and everything too. But at the same time, though, it has a welcoming, to be honest with you, and a likability to feel wanted and to be a part of these guys, because you actually feel like you're friends with them. And that's why I like The Big Bang Theory. Now, I know some people are not gonna like the show or anything like that, and that's okay. But for me, it just was one of those things that was like a welcoming into the new world. into the new way of thinking and the new way of not being bullied for who you are and embracing the geekiness and silliness of who we are. So that's just my thoughts.
I like the show. I mean, I've been binging like a lot of the later seasons personally. When in the later season, that's when I kind of enjoyed it more. The beginning of it, not so much. Like I said, I've been like anytime it's on TBS, I'm watching it. Just when they brought Amy Farrah Fowler, that's the Mayim Bialik character. OMG, that part was hilarious when they set Sheldon up on they created a profile for him on a dating website and boom, there comes his exact counterpart. Like, I mean, the show, like I said, I mean, like some of those parts I was watching, this made me crack up. Like when Amy's like dreaming of Sheldon when he's on this conductor in the trains, and he's like, and they're playing "Rock Me Like a Hurricane" when he's doing it, when he's pouring water on himself. Oh, sorry, it's a lot of hot in here, and she's like, "I'll get you there in 2 hours." Like, I mean, it's like some of it's kind of funny. Like, I mean, and like I said, I enjoyed it as the seasons are gone on. Like, I mean, and then this is another show where like we'll get into Katie Siegel in a bit, but this is another one where she's like, I just got her. She's got range. Like, she can do animated comedy and Futurama. She did a Disney movie, Smart House. She's done a lot of voice, and then of course, and then she's done like Sons of Anarchy, and we'll get into that in a bit. But yeah, Big Bang Theory was great. She played Penny's mom, and Jack McBrayer showed up as Penny's brother that's gotten to go to he went to jail because it's so not Jack McBrayer. But yeah, it's I like the show. I'm with you on that. I think that one ended fine. Like I said, I haven't seen the ending, but I know it ended fine.
I saw the ending, and to be honest with you, I would have to say it's better than the Seinfeld season finale. Don't get me wrong, anything's better than the Seinfeld one, but you know, but
yeah, I know something worse than the Seinfeld finale.
Besides the Sopranos ending?
Yeah, this is right up there with it in terms of episode and the Dexter ending. So Dexter and Sopranos endings are right up there. They're in the top tier for worst endings. I got Blind Spot in that one, but I got to briefly mention this. The How I Met Your Mother ending was garbage, absolute garbage. Like, it pretty much is like you got our hopes up, and then you Tanya Harding us, and then you ran away. Like, the ending, the show's a comedy. You made the finale a drama. What the hell? Like, seriously? And the show went on way too long. 8 to 9 seasons for How I Met Your Mother. Just no. And then they're doing a spinoff, like a spinoff series, How I Met Your Dad, with Hilary Duff on Hulu. And there's ties that might be cast members from the original show might be in this. I'm like, they should have stopped. Like, I mean, it went off the rail. The show's funny. Like, I gotta give props. Neil Patrick Harris is the highlight of this show. He is hysterical in How I Met Your Mother. And Wayne Brady's hilarious in it too as his brother. But if you like think like watching the show, maybe watch the first couple seasons. You don't really need to watch it after that. Then it just went off the rails. Like, it definitely went. I mean, but I didn't mean to cut you off there. Sorry, John.
No. Pretty much, I've said everything I want to say about the Big Bang Theory as far as things go, as far as the culture goes, and things like that. There is the Comic-Con episode, of course, with them dressing up like characters from Star Trek, and then them breaking down on the side of the road while the girls were reading comic books.
Oh yeah,
that was my favorite one. And then there's also funny. The Kripke. Sheldon trying to do a prank on Kripke, and it winds up backfiring on him. And then Sheldon trying to decide between an Xbox One and a PS4. He doesn't know which one to get. And then Bernadette's like, not Bernadette,
Amy.
Yeah, Amy. It's like, pass the butter.
Yeah.
Pass the butter.
Like, I mean, I also loved it when they got their stuff stolen in World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
And then like they get their stuff stolen, and Sheldon's like, "Can you get our stuff back?" No. And then they call Penny, and Penny shows up. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna do what we do in Nebraska. And she goes up, is like, "Oh, good news! You're gonna today's the day you're gonna let a lady finally touch your manly regions." And she kicks Jesus flat out, kick the kid straight in the balls. You're gonna give my friends their stuff back. Like, Penny was so great in this show. Like,
Also,
she was
I don't
taking
mean to
shit
cut.
from anybody.
You know what else is funny though? That guy who got kicked in the balls by Penny is also a guy who played a part in Sons of Anarchy
Oh, nice.
and everything. He was actually he came in like later on
Yeah.
but yeah, he was actually one of the people that were trying out to be part of the Sons.
Like, I mean, yeah. Another part, like, we can go on and on about Big Bang Theory. We might have to do a show on. We might have to do a show on it. But one of the other moments I liked was funny was the Thanksgiving episode when Penny tells the gang, "Oh yeah, I went to Vegas with Zach once. Yeah, we went to this church and everything, and all of them like you got married." And Penny's like, "No, I didn't. You seriously got married. There was and he's like, "What it look like? Well, was there a priest there? Yeah." You got married. So this is all during Thanksgiving, and Leonard was not letting her end up so Zach shows up, and Zach's a complete idiot, and he's like, hey, don't talk about my wife. Like, it's just a funny gag of them ripping on Penny for getting married in Vegas. But we might have to do a separate show on the Big Bang Theory because there's so much,
or just on sitcoms itself. I wouldn't mind doing like
that. Yeah.
But let's go into Sons of Anarchy.
Okay. But yeah, I want to mention, we mentioned The Office. It's a great show. When Steve Carell left, that's when it kind of went off the rails a little bit, but it had a great ending. It finished strong. It had a great ending. I just want to throw that one out there. But yeah, after Sons of Anarchy, I have some other ones I'll get into, but let's go to Sons of Anarchy.
Okay, so let me just say this. I remember watching the second season first, like just one episode of the second season, and it's one of the bad episodes. Like, I don't mean as in like a terrible episode, but the context of that episode of what happens to Gemma and everything in the second season. That's whenever I was introduced into the world of Sons of Anarchy. So guess what? Our video store was actually doing a thing where we can rent seasons of TV shows. So I rented the very first season, well, the first 4 episodes of Sons of Anarchy, but I'm like, I don't have enough time in a day to watch a full-on season like this for 4 seasons and then having to go and rent another set of episodes. So I went on ahead. I returned it, didn't even watch the first season, returned it back over to the movie gallery. I went to Walmart, bought the first season, sat there and binged it and loved it. And then started right where the second season was, and it's just fantastic. And it starts off very light at first, and then it gets dark. And also, too, this is also a modern-day Macbeth kind of show, too, that Kurt Sutter actually wrote about, too. So that's what he based off everything off of. But going ahead, I want you to go on ahead and break it down on what you liked about it.
I mean, I haven't seen all the episodes. Like, I've seen bits and pieces. I've seen all of season 1. I've seen a good chunk of season 2. Like, I remember Gemma getting if anybody didn't know, Katie Siegel plays Gemma. Just want to context. She's great in the show. Like, she's a badass. I'm gonna say bitch. Like, seriously, she takes no shit from anybody, and it just shows the range that Katie Siegel's got. From everybody's known her as the redhead from Married with Children. She's got that. She's done Disney. She's done a Disney movie. She's done animation countless times with Futurama and forever how long that show went. Sons of Anarchy is what really showed out her dark side. And if anybody didn't know, she's actually married to Kurt Sutter. I think that marriage is still going on. Yeah. Not 100% sure. I'm not following gossip, but she's just bad in a good way. Like, she doesn't take shit from anybody. Want me
to give an example of that?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, for instance, she thinks that something happened between Clay and this other girl. when nothing actually did happen with her. She was actually interested in another group of the Sons, and she thought this little hussy went on ahead and was sleeping with Clay, but it turned out that she was trying to sleep with Half Sack. So what winds up happening is, yep, the skateboard. She takes the skateboard that this person's riding on, and then smashes this girl's face in with the skateboard as she's walking into the hospital to visit someone. She plays a motorcycle MC, motorcycle club, captain or leader of that motorcycle club. Really great as a wife.
But no, she's great. Like, I mean, like I've seen so season 2, I've seen bits and pieces of that. I haven't really I haven't finished the show, but I know what happens in it. But I just gotta say, Ron Perlman, like I said, when I first heard of the show, I was like, oh, it's The Sopranos on bikes. Like, I mean,
exactly. That's how I saw it as.
Yeah, and it's great. I mean, you just like Charlie Hunnam. This is his first big role because I don't think he was in anything prior to this. He is fantastic as Jax Teller. Like, I mean, he's the guy that you're along with the ride with for his buddies, to the MC, to dealing with Clay, which is played by Ron Perlman. Go figure. He's great in the show too. But the whacking in this show, like that when they take out, like, I mean, you can't call a show Sopranos about bikes without them killing people and doing it like I remember the one where where this former guy, a former MC, and he didn't get every single one of them's got tattoos on their back. This guy is out of the MC and he refused to get it, so they tortured him.
No, let me recorrect that. He refuses to remove it because of the fact he was actually the getaway driver, and instead of him sticking around, I believe, he winds up leaving them, and therefore he's also rejected out of the MC. And it's actually during a kids' picnic though too, for a fundraiser that the Sons are actually putting together, and they all put him in this gym and everything too, and then they go over to get this. The MC actually has their own auto mechanic place though too that they run. Yeah. So they're acting like they're all buddies and everything, and then from there, I'll let you go on in and talk about the torturing.
Oh yeah, this guy, he's gonna wish he got it removed because what they did to him. Yeah, this is like, man, I think Tony Soprano, like, he'd walk away. He'd instantly walk away after what they do to these guys. Like, they burn his back. They literally torch it to remove the tattoo. Like, if you think tattoo removals hurt, you probably do. I don't know. I don't have a tattoo. I have no intentions to. But, yeah, they hurt. But I don't think they're going to hurt as much as this guy's back did when they burnt it to a crisp. He got Ed Sheeran from Game of Thrones. Burnt to a crisp. But anyway, but yeah, the whackings of that, like, I mean, and since we're talking about Sons of Anarchy, I want to mention that the guy that plays the sheriff, kind of the corrupt sheriff, like whatever.
Who has cancer and smokes weed.
No, not the old guy, the young guy.
The young guy is actually young Captain America, who is trying to watch out for the town at first, at the very beginning, trying to shut down the Sons. Basically, in his eyes, he's actually doing something moral. But go on ahead.
If you everybody that watch the show and like you're gonna have an epiphany after this, that guy's name is Taylor Sheridan. You're wondering who's Taylor Sheridan? Oh yeah, he's the guy he wrote Sicario. He's written a bunch of Sicario. He wrote Hell or High Water, Sicario 2, like Day of the Salado. He's directed Those Who Wish Me Dead. He just directed that. He wrote Without Remorse, which, come to think of it now, it's not a great movie. It doesn't, after second thought of it, it's not that great. But anyway, he wrote that. He wrote and then Wind River. So he was an actor, and he realized acting's not working out for him. I want to go to writing and directing. And the script he wrote for Sicario, like, if you have not seen Sicario with Emily Blunt and Benicio del Toro and Josh Brolin, watch it. Because that was one of the first Dennis Villeneuve movie I watched. Since now he's doing Dune. And like, I mean, that guy is there's a sequence, there was a raid sequence, it was all filmed with night vision goggles. That is the most awesome sequence I've seen, like, filmed in terms of camera angles or the screenshots or whatever. That anyway, Taylor Sheridan plays the young sheriff in this movie, the corrupt one, the one that I'm sleeping with the FBI ATF chick. I didn't see most of the seasons of that, but I know she gets whacked in the satisfying way possible.
Oh, she gets whacked, but I'm not going to go into spoiler territory because I do want us to at least try and review the Sons of Anarchy seasons.
Absolutely.
But it was so satisfying seeing her whacked in the way that she got whacked. Yeah. But that's all I'm going to say. Yeah. But as far as the perfect season goes, as far as the perfect show goes, and I have to agree with Kurt Sutter on this, once you get past 5 seasons, it becomes repetitive. So, originally he was just going to do 5 seasons. The next thing you know there was 7 seasons of Sons of Anarchy because we've just been wanting more. And so with that being said and everything, Sons of Anarchy is the perfect, in my own honest opinion, and it's subjective as well. It is the perfect TV show that ended on a good note. Well, not on a good note, but it ended on a closure. It ended on one of those things where you don't have to wonder what's going to happen to these characters or anything like that, and stuff like that. But it closed out this series really good and everything. Even The Shield was a good way of actually how they ended that show too, which is also another one that Kurt Sutter did.
And it was also FX. So again, the show we're talking about now is FX. So FX had a lot of great hits. But the one thing I did like, I think I watched like one of the last season. I watched a couple episodes when I was in college of the last season because I know this was the last season. This is how it's going out. They on one of the torture sequences, Jax was trying to torture a guy to get information of who killed his wife. But that whole song was a dark rendition of Bohemian Rhapsody.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, just the show, a dark show like this, to remix songs. I mean, and they did it perfectly with that. With that.
Yep.
I mean, like I said, I can't wait to go fully in depth in the Sons of Anarchy because I haven't seen all of the show. I've seen all of season 1, a good chunk of season 2, but I know I know what's happening in it. Didn't Christopher's wife from Sopranos, wasn't she also in this show?
Yeah.
As well?
Yeah, the actress who played Adriana was in this and everything. As a matter of fact, there was like inside jokes saying Adriana didn't get whacked after all. She was actually in witness protection hiding from Tony, so she actually joined up with the MC to get away from that. And then
she got out of she went into witness protection and then she got drugged up. So I mean, but I gotta say, to go on The Sopranos, her death was the best whacking in The Sopranos. Like this the whole setup for like, oh hey, Christopher's hurt. We should go to the hospital. They weren't going to the hospital, they're going to the woods. And I think she kicked one of them in the balls or whatever.
Yeah, Silvio was the one who did the whacking on that one.
And she's like, no. And you just hear the gunshot go off. And that was the most satisfying whacking of that show.
Fun fact. Silvio Dante's character was made up. It was never actually in the script. Little thing. A matter of fact, he actually plays in the Bruce Springsteen and the East Street Band.
Mm-hmm.
The guy who plays Silvio. And basically, Silvio winds up being a character on the show because of the musician. He's like, well, I have an idea for a character. So David Chase is like, you know what? We're going to do it. We're going to do your character. But we're going to get rid of this oldies club that you want to do. We're going to get rid of that. We're going to make it a strip club instead. You're the owner of a strip club.
Nice.
So that's how we got in. Just made up character. Just a little fun fact.
But we'll do Sons of Anarchy after we finish up Dexter because we want to get Dexter done. Well, Sons of Anarchy I think will be our next show because that's we can do that one easily because we have all the episodes.
Yep.
Okay. Again, I just want to say how great that show is.
How many? I'm just wondering, just for time, like how many more do you have?
All right, I'm going to mention just a few more. Lost was another one that changed NBC for how people binge the show. I didn't see it. so I can't really say my words on it, but I know that that had a big following for it. I think we mentioned Criminal Minds earlier on the last show. I picked that one up later on. That kind of changed the game for serial killer kind of shows, about trying to get in the mind of the criminal and stuff, and while they catch him. So, Rizzoli and Isles was another good show on Hulu, and I think all the episodes will be on HBO Max this weekend. If you like a Boston kind of PD department, kind of like a cop show, but set in Boston with I think Angie Harmon is the main plays Rizzoli. That one it's another great show. You talked about Bones. That I'm almost done with the show. I binged that one starting last year. I enjoyed it. I think it's kind of cool. The idea, the banner between Booth and Bones. It's just kind of funny. David Berenis and one of the Emily Deschanel, which ironically her long lost sister or cousin is with Zoe Deschanel showed up on the show. I thought it was kind of funny. I think X-Files again. The X-Files changed it for sci-fi shows because you don't have many sci-fi shows that go that long. That's another fantastic show. I need to finish binging all of that. I haven't gone super far into that at all, but I know I've seen the movies. I know about Scully and Mulder. Great show. If you haven't seen the X-Files, watch it. And it actually has one episode it's banned because it dealt with a horror. I think it was like an episode set in a horror house, kind of like a horror house, kind of like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So these two brothers are like very like tall, beefy characters, and Mulder and Scully has to investigate why they're killing. That episode's been banned because it's pretty brutal. I think I've seen that episode. For if you're Terminator fans, the Sarah Connor Chronicles, great show. Hated how they ended that. Fox did them dirty. I signed up for a petition to bring that show back because Lena Headey, before she became Cersei, she was Sarah Connor and she was badass in it. And then, and of course, I got to give credit to 24. Jack Bauer, Kiefer Sutherland. I love that show. Like Kiefer Sutherland, he is the epitome of a badass. Like I mean, I'm currently trying to go through season 4 just to watch the seasons where he kills the most people. That's why I watched the 24. I don't care about. I know there's gonna be a mole inside CTU. But the interesting with the show is season 1 had problems airing because it was about to come out right when 9/11 happened. So there's a lot of controversy with that. So that's why I think they pushed off the release date for it a little bit to kind of like ease the tension with it. But I think season 4 is when it really picks up in terms of Jack Bauer being an absolute badass. Kiefer Sutherland, like I said, I mean the late great sportscaster Stuart Scott. He got the ESPY for the Jimmy V Award for the Courage Award. And the guy that gave him that presented the award to Stuart Scott was Kiefer Sutherland. And Stuart Scott, after receiving the award, dude, I just got an award from Jack Bauer. 24 is like my favorite show. I believe all the episodes are on Hulu. So if you haven't seen 24, you don't know what I'm talking about, watch it because this is what, besides the Lost Boys, this is what really got Kiefer Sutherland on TV as being the epitome of a badass. So I have to give props to 24. I love that show. It's just seeing Jack Bauer just go on rampage, and that's why I watched it, and it's just satisfying. And then I think, did you want to mention go on Dexter a little bit or not really? We kind of talked about that a little bit.
I think we can do that. What I want to do is I want to focus on one more show for myself.
Okay.
And then as far as Dexter goes, I think we might try and cover that on the after show if you want to do that.
Oh, okay, we can do that.
If you want to save it, it's up to you.
Okay. I think the last show I had was a Netflix show, and it changed it from Marvel shows.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wanted to mention some Marvel shows too. You know what? If you want to, we can do another one of these because I've been having fun doing some more of these topics like this.
No, I think the only ones I got left are Dexter and Daredevil.
Okay. I'm also going to put Punisher down on there though too, as far as things that changed the way we look at it. Because when you look at these Marvel shows on Netflix and everything, that was back when Daredevil first came on. Remember, that was like the everything now changed the whole entire atmosphere because of that. And if you remember, everybody was like, you know what, this would be better if it was Netflix. You know what? Maybe this movie should actually be a TV series. You know who should do it? Netflix. Everything during that time was Netflix should do this, Netflix should do that. And even I was guilty of that. I was even saying Netflix should do it and everything. And I wasn't even considering like Amazon Prime. I wasn't considering Hulu. I wasn't considering any other streaming service but Netflix, because the way that they handled the Marvel characters with care, the way they understood who these characters were and everything, and the way they did things made me think that Netflix was a good home for them at that time. Despite the other stuff we actually got later on, but it was a good start. And also too, even with the Punisher seasons though too, with John Bernthal, that was fire. I'm gonna be honest with you. But yeah, Daredevil, definitely a great show. Stunts were really great. You even forget, to be honest with you, you even forget that Matt's even blind because of the stuff that he's doing.
Oh yeah,
and everything too. But yeah,
Daredevil changed the game for hallway fight scenes. Like that in the season 1 Daredevil, like did that one hallway fight scene. That was great. Season 2 amped it up with a little mix of LSD, because it had that sequence where Matt's taking on a bunch of bikers. So you go fight in a hallway, continue, and then and also kind of changed it when it turns to the continuous shot, the one shot camera angle, or the one shot thing. That was all one shot, and the way the camera moved, it was down the stairs while Matt was fighting, and also the prison fight scene in the hallway where John Bernthal took out goons of Kingpin. Yep. That was violent, but it was satisfying because it was so good.
And also, too, the violence wasn't there for the sake of being violent. It was there for a purpose, and that's something that I really liked about it, too, was the fact that it was there to actually understand with the character and the development of the characters. It wasn't just there to just be gory or violent to be violent. No. So that's something else that I have to say I liked.
Yeah, I mean, I love Vincent Kingpin chopping the guy's head off the door. I never thought that was possible. But like I said, we got a great I screw you Netflix for canceling this. I'm hoping Marvel MCU do something to remedy this, because you have the rights now. Do something. Give us Daredevil, because this was awesome. Season 3, which is final season, even though the show ended, I thought it ended perfectly. And the chance that we're coming back, that had the best one shot sequence, the prison sequence. That was not just a fight; it was going through. You see this mob, prison breakout fight sequences where Matt's trying to get out. That was each season they increased the game in terms of one shot fight sequences. I mean, the fight choreography was fantastic in this, and season 3 was the best season of the show. Unfortunately, it was its final season, but it was so good. I was so pissed that they canceled it. Punisher, for me, I think for season 1 took a little while for it to pick up. Season 2 is better for me personally. I love season 2 better than season 1. Season 1 had some great moments, but season 2 was better. But Daredevil, like I said, Netflix, when they did Daredevil, that probably spiked Netflix's subscribers just to watch Daredevil. And yeah, Daredevil was just so good. Have you not seen Daredevil? I like the Ben Affleck version. No, watch this. This makes Ben Affleck look like a wuss compared to Harley Cox's Daredevil. Ben Affleck would get his ass kicked, even though they're two of the same people. But yeah, that was a great show on
Definitely.
Netflix.
Okay, so wrapping up with the Netflix with Daredevil and stuff like that. Since we're on Netflix, I'm gonna go with Stranger Things as well, and that's the simple fact that the reason why I liked it was the fact that it was so different and original in a sense, because it kind of actually reminds you of 8mm that movie mixed in with E.T., mixed in with Stephen King, had that kind of flavor to it. And this is actually before the whole entire hype train of Stranger Things. This is before it became popular and something that we've seen in Hot Topic and all that other stuff, right? So I got to see this back when I was kind of like underground in a sense, before it became popular. Because I remember a fan messaging us, and he's like, "Have you seen Stranger Things?" I said, "No, I haven't seen it." Next thing you know it, I fell in love with this show because it reminded me of my childhood. It reminded me of the fact that whenever I was a kid, I used to play Magic the Gathering with my friends and also play D&D. And we would be in there for hours just being total nerds, hanging out, doing those kind of things. And that's what made me fall in love with Stranger Things. And then also, too, it had that flavor of Stephen King in it. It had that in there with that horror aspect, that science fiction thing. And also, too, the kids were something that was actually laughable about that you can relate to and stuff like that, too. This show, for me, is just great and good fun. It is like the Goonies, but mixed in with horror. But still, it has a great little 80s flavor to it.
I watched 2 episodes and I was like, nope.
Trust me, it does get better. I know that you might have thought that it was kind of boring because it starts off like at a slow pace.
I just wasn't interested in it, to be honest.
You know.
So that's me. Like my sister loved the show. Like I said, I watched a couple episodes and like, that wasn't for me. Like I wasn't into that Amazon Prime show Hunters with Al Pacino. I was like a couple one episodes in, and I just like, ugh, no, this is bad. I'm out. So I mean, I don't think I'll get back into Stranger Things, but that's me personally.
Okay.
I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, you're fine. But yeah, that's gonna about everything that I wanted to cover as far as the shows go. Although I do like the Umbrella Academy, I like The Boys and everything too.
Mm-hmm. Oh, The Boys, great show. Homelander, he's such a dick.
Yeah, and not only that, let me just go on and mention The Boys real quick, just to do this, because I've been wanting to talk about The Boys for a while, never got around to doing it. But if you're going into the show thinking you're going to be rooting for the good guys, forget that. You're actually rooting for the villains in this show. And then you also have a gay superhero. You also have other stuff that's being corrupted within this superhero universe. And they're also trying to pay off victims that were victimized with the superheroes, and makes you even more angry to where you want to root for these villains and everything too. This is perfect. This show just glues you in for 6 episodes, and you cannot slow down from binging it because that's how good it is. Even though it's only like a once a week show and everything, but still, it makes you want to wait for more, makes you want to speculate, makes you want to use your imagination, because we used to have these once a week shows to where we could speculate and use our imaginations. I like actually having once a week shows to where I can use my imagination and just geek out and have fun with it. Yeah. And yeah, just like the Joker. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I got it. The Boys. This is so great. Like I already knew, like, since I've seen trailers, I knew of the show. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm absolutely rooting for Karl Urban. Like, I'm a huge Karl Urban fan. I thought he was great in Dredd. Again, another movie you haven't seen, Dredd, watch it. You won't be disappointed. Anyway, he's great as Billy Butcher. Like, I mean, I think the funniest, like the scenes that made me, my dad and I watched the season 1. The scenes that made us cry laughing of how freaking stupid the Deep was. The sequence in the truck with the dolphin.
Yeah, that scene actually made me laugh.
The dolphin out, and the dolphin's not wearing any seatbelts, and he's on like some sort of swing. Let's just say a car stops in front of him, so the Deep has to press the brake. You can take a guess with your imagination what happens, but I think the funniest part was in season 2, the whale.
Yeah,
the speedboat. Whale.
Going right through the whale. It's just hilarious.
And then like you see the Deep face, like he's shocked. Like, are they really come on, you're a superhero. You should always expect them to go through something. this and then, like, and there his face is dropped and he's so crying, like he gave it a name. He's crying with it to see all the guts and stuff of it. I mean, the show's violent. There's a lot of like
nudity, cussing.
If you love Homelander, then something's wrong with you, because he's very corrupt. He's very self-centered. He doesn't care about humans. And if you've seen season 1, you know what I'm talking about. He's very like, if it's all about me, it's like I'm Homelander, but
I'm the leader.
I'm the leader. But no, you're rooting for the boys. Like, and then the only superhero that you actually root for is Starlight, Annie. Which I think I mentioned on our other podcast. If anybody's seen the movie, the Watch, Starlight is Vince Vaughn's daughter in that movie. So if you didn't know that, now you know. Where's the now you know sign from like the more you know from NBC? Where's that? Now you know. But yeah, I love the boys. Like, I mean, the exploding head sequence. Like, oh my god, that stuff is just like, it's so shocking, and I can't wait for the new season. I think they're working on it.
Yeah, they are. So that's gonna be it for the show and everything. But guys, look, do us a favor. 7 days, our campaign is going to be ending with our t-shirts. And every Monday, me and Mike Perkins do a Mafia Talk Mondays kind of theme where we review Mafia movies, we talk about The Sopranos, stuff like that. We actually have a Mafia Talks Movie Lovers Unite t-shirt that's over there, part of our campaign. Go on ahead, click the link below. It's part of Bonfire. The campaign is going to be ending in a couple of days. Go on ahead, check that out before it's gone. But we might actually do another campaign later on to actually go back and do it again. But go on ahead, support us that way. If you guys want to, go on ahead and support us through the GoFundMe.com/Movie Lovers Podcast. Another way that you can actually follow us is at Movie Lovers TV Lovers Unite on Facebook and on Instagram, as well as on Pinterest. Then, of course, if you want to go on and get an audio-only podcast of this episode and many more of our episodes, just go on ahead and do it wherever you guys get your podcast from. I am running into a little bit of a problem with Apple Podcasts at the moment, but they're working on the problem, trying to fix the problem. But try Spotify, try any other podcast that wherever you guys get your podcast from. Also, too, if you guys want to, go on ahead and head over to movieloversunite.com for all your intimate needs and wants. And then, of course, go on ahead, follow me on Twitter at Movie Lovers Unit, on Stereo underneath Movie Lovers Unit as well. And then, of course, if you guys want to reach out to me, if you guys are a sponsor, just go on ahead and email me at movieloversunite@gmail.com. And that's actually all the places that you can reach out to me. And, of course, guys, it's always been a pleasure to do this show. Thank you for supporting our show. Thank you for giving us a reason to do what we do. And, of course, always until next time, guys, it's been real. It's been fun. I can't wait to do this again. And bye-bye.